All right, we're doing it this time. This is Chapter 7, Strata Properties and Cooperatives in BC. So it's from Lesson 4. And I'm going to skip the learning objectives and go straight to page 2. Which of the following correctly completes the sentence? In a strata plan, the term unit entitlement refers, and the answer is, drumroll please, to 4, which is only D. And D is the figure used to calculate a strata owner's contribution to the common expenses of the Strata Corporation. So let's rewind this a little bit. So which is the following correctly completes the sentence? In a strata plan, the term unit entitlement refers to number 4, only D, which is the figure used to calculate a strata owner's contribution to the common expenses of the Strata Corporation. So for example, I live here in Somerset, and my unit entitlement, entitlement sounds like I'm going to get something, but actually I'm going to give something. I have to contribute to the common expenses. That's what unit entitlement means. Question 59. Common property in a strata title development is, and the answer is 4. It is any property not designated as strata lots on a strata plan. So common property in a strata title development is 4, any property not designated as strata lots on a strata plan. So that would be the hallways, the stairs, the yard, the common rooms, the doorways. Those things are common property here. Question 71. For purposes of assessment and taxation, question 71. 4. Each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvement. So here we go. For purposes of assessment and taxation, 4. Each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvement. So I am taxed separately, all right, not together with everybody else. Question 82. A strata lot in BC in an exclusively residential complex is owned by 2 persons as joint tenants. At every meeting of the Strata Corporation, the owners are, number 1, entitled to a total vote of 1. Total of 1 vote. So let me repeat this. A strata lot in BC in an exclusively residential complex is owned by 2 people as joint tenants. At every meeting of the Strata Corporation, the owners are, number 1, entitled to a total of 1 vote. All right. We got page 3. 135. A strata plan is 2. Filed in the land title office and designates which parts of a strata project are strata lots and which are common property. So that's what a strata plan does. It divides everything into strata lots and common property. And this plan is filed in the land title office and is part of the strata project. Question 139. In BC, before approving a conversion of a rental building to a condominium, the approving authority must consider a number of factors. Which of the following is not a mandatory consideration? And the answer is 4. The potential increase in real property tax revenue, all right? They don't consider, oh yeah, you're going to get more tax out of it. That's not what is mandatory consideration. let the government handle that. But all these other things are mandatory. For example, 1, the priority of rental accommodation over private ownership in the area. 2, the proposal to relocate existing tenants. And 3, the life expectancy of the building. All those things are include a mandatory consideration, but not the potential increase in real property tax revenue. Canada Revenue Agency can handle that. Very well, thank you. Question 209. The interest that is acquired by a buyer of a strata lot is 3. A fee simple interest in the strata lot and a fee simple interest as a tenant in common with the other strata lot owners in the common property. So here's what happens when somebody buys a strata lot. So for example, me. You get a fee simple interest in your strata lot. You also get a fee simple interest in the common property along with all the other strata owners in this building A and building B. Page 4, 226. For purposes of assessment and taxation, 2, each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvements. Didn't we already do that? So purposes of assessment, for purposes of assessment and taxation, 2, each strata lot, together with the owner's share in the common property, is deemed to be a separate parcel of land and improvements. Question 254. Consider a building for which a strata plan was filed in August of 2001. In the event that the building is destroyed and the Strata Corporation passes a resolution not to rebuild, how will the proceeds of any insurance policy be distributed? How will the proceeds of insurance policy be distributed? And the answer is 4, according to a conversion schedule based upon the most recent assessed values of the strata lot. So here's what happens. You got a building, and it's in a strata plan filed August 2001. In the event that the building is destroyed, for example, by fire, and the Strata Corporation passes a resolution not to rebuild this thing, so when they get the insurance, how will they distribute the proceeds? And they will do number 4, according to a conversion schedule. So basically, it's like a table, right? Based upon the most recent assessed values of the strata lots. All right? I don't know if they do, it's from the BC assessment, but probably it is, unfortunately. Question 304. Which of the following statements regarding condominiums is true? And the answer is 3. A bylaw which is passed by a strata corporation cannot be enforced against a strata lot owner unless or until it has been filed in the appropriate land title office. That is true. If there's a bylaw passed by a strata corporation, and I don't know if it's still, but if it's still Campbell, that's our strata corporation. If Campbell passes a bylaw, it can't be enforced against me or any other strata lot owner here until it's been filed in the appropriate land title office. And I don't know where that is, but I'm guessing it's in New Westminster. Page 5. Question 305. With respect to bylaws in a strata development, which of the following statements is true? And the answer is 3. Bylaws provide for the control and management of the strata lots and common property. Let me say it again. With respect to bylaws in a strata development, which of the following statements is true? The answer is 3. Bylaws provide for the control and management of the strata lots and common property. So think about it. Bylaws, what are they for? They are for C and M. bylaws are for control and management. Control and management. Control and management. Bylaws are for control and management. Don't you forget it. Question 350. Which one of the following is not a remedy available to a strata lot owner who's dissatisfied with certain actions of the Strata Corporation? What is not a remedy? And the answer is 2. The owner may file a lien against the Strata Corporation. No. You cannot file a lien, but you can do the other things. You may obtain a mandatory injunction. You can have an arbitrator appointed, and you can apply to the Supreme Court of BC for an order requiring the Strata Corporation to comply with the Strata Property Act. You can do all these things, but you can't file a lien, and that's the answer. It's not a remedy. You can't file a lien against Campbell. Question 395. Which of the following statements is false? And the answer for 395 is 4. Assuming the standard bylaws have not been amended, the Strata Council may pass rules with respect to the safety and cleanliness of individually owned strata lots. No, they can't pass rules with respect to the safety and cleanliness of my strata lot or anybody else's individually owned strata lots. But they can pass rules regarding the common areas, right? I guess so. Now, that's false, and that's the answer. The other ones, let me just mention it for a moment. 1, this is true. In an entirely residential condominium complex, a bylaw must be amended by a 3/4 vote. So basically 75% vote of the Strata Corporation. 2, if a rule conflicts with the bylaw prevails. 3, subject to some exemptions, a bylaw may prohibit the rental of strata lots in the condominium complex. Okay, so all those are true. But Council can't pass rules regarding individually owned strata lots. Page 6. 401. Who owns the common property of a strata corporation? And the answer for 401 is 3. Each individual strata lot owner owns a share of the common property of a strata corporation in the proportions set out in the Schedule of Unit Entitlement. So there's this thing, it's called the Schedule of Unit Entitlement, and each individual strata lot owner, including me, we own a share of the common property. Get it? 485. Which of the following statements comparing cooperatives and condominiums is true? And the answer for 485 is 3. Buyers of condominiums will generally find it easier to finance their purchase than will buyers of cooperatives. Yes. So I think I had learned that before, that cooperatives, such as the one in Langley near Isaiah's mom's place, that's a co-op building. Those things are hard to get financing, apparently. So buyers of condos, they find it easier to finance their purchase. All right, that's true. 563. Which of the following accurately describes the provisions of the Strata Property Act with respect to the cancellation of management contracts entered into by the Strata Corporation for the management of the common property? So let me just try to digest this. So the Strata Property Act has some provisions about canceling management contracts that the Strata Corp has entered for managing the common property. And the answer is 2. Either party may give the other 2 months' notice without either party to the contract incurring any liability for breach of contract. So, for example, the grass cutting crew outside, they can give 2 months' notice without any liability for breach of contract. And we, the Strata Corporation, can give them 2 months' notice. Question 617. When converting an existing building to a strata development, the answer is 4. None of the above statements is true. So these things that I'm speaking to now, these are all lies. 1, the existing tenants must be relocated by the developer. No, they don't need to be relocated. 2, the age and condition of the building is irrelevant. No, it is relevant. And 3, the developer must pay the existing tenants' moving expenses. No. All these things are not true, so number 4 is the right answer. 665. A strata plan is, number 1, filed in the land title office and designates which parts of a strata project are strata lots and which are common property. So we've got a strata plan, the corporation or the developer files it in the land title office and designates which part of the strata project are strata lots and which parts are common property. 694. The interest which is acquired by a buyer of a strata lot is 4. None of the above. And what is none of the above? 1, a share in the Strata Corporation in proportion to the unit entitlement. No. 2, a joint tenancy with all of the other strata lot owners. No, it's not a joint tenancy. And 3, a fee simple interest in the strata lot and joint tenancy with respect to the common property. So this is none of the above. 694. None of the above. So what is it then? If it's not a K thing, part of it is fee simple interest. But is it a joint tenancy? Shall we see? Is it a joint? 401, 401, 401, 3. It is, we own a share of the common property, but it's not a joint tenancy. Okay? Do you get that? It's not a joint tenancy. Okay. Let's see if I can. Well, all right. So where am I? We're at 727. Under the Strata Property Act, strata corporations are obligated to do certain things. Which of the following is not a duty of the Strata Corporation that they're obliged to carry out? Well, what's not a duty? And 727, the answer is 3. The performance of work ordered by a competent public authority in respect of a strata lot. So this is not an obligation. The performance of work ordered by a competent public authority. Nope, that's not it. And that's a trick question. But these other things are obligations. 1, maintaining the property insurance on the common property. 2, creating an operating fund for common expenses, which is called contingency fund. And 4, the establishment of contingency reserve fund. Same thing. So those are all true, but the 3 is the answer, and it is false. It's not a duty. It's the performance of work ordered by a competent public authority. Like Stephen Harper, but he's not competent. Page 8. 762. The answer is 1. Which of the following best describes the Strata Corporation? 1. The individual strata owners collectively once the strata plan has been deposited at the land title office. That is, Strata Corporation means all of us strata owners collectively. So it's not Campbell. Campbell is the management corporation we've hired. But we are the Strata Corporation. Wow, I'm part of a corporation. Woo! 764. The answer is 1. Ron, the developer, wanted to convert a 15-unit, 3-story apartment he owned into a condominium in order to realize a greater profit on the sale of condo units than he would if he had sold the building as a single entity. Which of the following factors would the municipal council not be required to consider in deciding whether to give approval to the conversion application? The answer is 1. The fact that the construction of a large shopping mall 4 blocks from the building had caused land values to rise to an extent where it was no longer economical to maintain the property as a small apartment. So that will not be required to consider. Municipal council will not require that. They won't consider that. You get that? But all the other things, Like 2, the fact that there was a relatively high vacancy rate in the area as compared with the city as a whole. The fact that 3, Ron had promised as part of his conversion proposal to make a voluntary payment of $500 to each of the tenants as contribution to their moving costs. And 4, the fact that the building has a limited life expectancy due to its aging construction and the need for re-plumbing throughout the entire building. Yeah, but anyways, the answer is 1. The shopping mall 4 blocks away. It's not, the municipal council won't consider that. You get it? 765. Now we get all the long questions for some strange reason. Jane purchased a condominium on the understanding that pets were permitted by the bylaws of the Strata Corporation. Later, the corporation passed a bylaw prohibiting any owner from keeping any animal on his or her strata lot. When Carl subsequently purchased this lot, he was aware of this new bylaw. The Strata Council has ordered the removal of Jane's dog and Carl's cat from their lots. Which of the following statements is false? Let me see. Okay, so I think Jane can keep her dog. Carl cannot keep his cat. Let me see. And which statement is false? And the answer is 4. The schedule of standard bylaws allows an owner 1 dog or 1 cat, and therefore Carl and Jane can keep the pets. No, that is false. Very, very false. But 1, Carl must remove his cat. The bylaw is enforceable against him. Yes. 2, Jane will be grandfathered and will be able to keep her dog. Yes. And 3, pet restrictions are valid under the Strata Property Act, and that's a yes too. Woo! Now we're going to go to page 9, 832. Which of the following are statutory remedies available to an owner of a strata lot who's dissatisfied with certain actions or omissions of the Strata Corporation, of which he or she is a part? And the answer for 823 is 4, only A and B. These are statutory remedies that are available to me. The answer being number 4, and that is only A and B. A means an owner may sue the Strata Corporation. Yes, I can do it. And B, a court may order the appointment of an administrator in extreme cases. Yes, that's true. Woo! I may sue the corporation, and the court may order the appointment of an administrator in extreme cases. Well, it sounds like there's an extreme case. 866. A strata corporation is permitted by the Strata Property Act to take certain actions. A strata corporation may, 866, 3. Only A, C, and D. A, control, manage, and administer the common property, common facilities, or other assets of the corporation for the benefit of all owners. Yes. And C, register a lien for unpaid strata fees. Yes, that can be done. And D, remove a strata lot's owner's right to use recreational facilities on common property. Ooh, so those are all true. You can do A, control, manage, and administer common property. You can do C, register a lien for unpaid strata fees, and the Strata Corp can remove a strata. D, remove a strata lot owner's right to use recreational facilities on common property. Wow. So that's number 3, only A, C, and D. Question 878. George bought 2 units in a 10-unit condo project. Within 1 week of the completion of this purchase, some other condo owners, the Smythe family, were killed in an accident in the jacuzzi whirlpool. Mrs. Smythe is the sole survivor of this family. The pool is located on the common property in which George now owns an interest. Mrs. Smythe is suing the Strata Corporation, and George is concerned about the extent of his liability for any damage award she may receive. Assuming that the Strata Corporation is found liable to Mrs. Smythe, which of the following statements correctly describes George's liability? And the answer for 878 is 1. Only A is correct. And what is A? Describing George's liability. A is George must pay his proportionate liability for any judgment registered against the common property of the Strata Corporation. So A is the only one that's correct. That's number one. George must pay his part. Okay. 887. Which of the following statements comparing condos and cooperatives is false? And the answer for 887 is 1. Buyers of both condos and cooperatives acquire ownership of a fee simple interest in land. Those are false, because I think condo owners do have some fee simple, but not cooperative owners. 2. This is true. The requirements for a disclosure statement may apply to both condos and co-ops. You need to have disclosure statement. 3. Condos are generally easier to sell than co-ops. Yes. And 4. Where an existing building is being converted to either a condo or nonprofit co-op, the existing tenants are covered by the protection afforded by the BC Residential Tenancy Act. Yes. So there you go. But the false thing is that both condominium owners and cooperative owners have ownership in fee simple. No. Cooperative owners don't have it. 915. Richard owns a 2,400 square foot unit in a strata complex. There are 19 other units. The square footage, which totals 37,600 square feet. The common property has an area of 12,600 square feet. The total common expenses for the year amount to 48,000. What is Richard's monthly share of the common expenses? And I should have looked in the math section. And the answer is $240,000. Oh, sorry, $240, not $240,000. Ooh, okay, so that's how you calculate his share of common expenses. I have to look at that again. All right, I need to go back and study that again. Question 918, which is on page 11. Which of the following is not one of the obligations imposed on the Strata Corporation under the Strata Property Act? And the answer of 918 is 2. The obligation to maintain liability insurance of no less than $5 million on the Strata project. They don't need to do that, keep liability insurance of no less than $5 million. But they do need to keep the common property in a state of good and serviceable repair, which is 1. They need to do 3, the obligation to establish a contingency reserve fund. And 4, they need to establish a fund for payment of admin expenses. So they need to do that, but they don't need the insurance of less than $5 million. Question 940. According to the Strata Property Act, which of the following statements is true? And the answer for 940 is 2. An estate in fee simple is created for each individual strata lot by the registration and approval of the Register of Land Titles of a strata plan. So basically, here's what the Strata Property Act allows. That means if somebody comes, they buy an individual strata lot. This estate in fee simple has been originally created by registering and in the land title office and approving and registering it. Okay, the strata plan. 964, which is my last question. Which of the following is false with respect to strata lot ownership? And here is the lie, which is 1. The sole purpose of creating a strata corporation is to limit the liability of the corporation members. No, that's not why we create a strata corporation. It's not to limit our liability. But these other answers, 2, 3, and 4 are true. 2, which says the concept of ownership is part of a building, is an ancient one now recognized by provincial legislation. A strata development is a special way of subdividing land and buildings into parts for separate ownership with common features. And 4, a strata corporation is permitted to pass a bylaw limiting the number of strata lots which may be leased by the corporation members where the strata plan is entirely or partially residential. So those things are all true. But the lie here was number 1. It's not to limit the liability of corporation members, which is the sole purpose of creating a strata corporation. Thank you for coming and have a good day and get 100% on the test.